Taking all bets, the fate of the side threat. Up by 7 by 11, these deals are.
Well, with you knockoff niggas, come to the track, combine nigga, you ain't doing that.
Yeah, I just know that I want Christian Louboutin, Rubicon, Saint Laurent.
It's the respect for me. Ain't nobody checking me. You did check for me. Parting ways, respect for me.
Branch Out Podcast.
Bullet gang in the building, you hear?
All right. What's going on? What's going on? It's your boy Lefty T-Rone the Great, aka Drippy Jackson, and this is Branch Out Podcast. And I have a special guest in here today. He goes by the name of Mr.Kenny Rayford, OG from the back in the day. Go ahead and let them know who you is, Mr. Rayford, and what you got going with yourself.
Well, you know,
if you want to, you might want to scoot up.
Excuse me, scoot up. Well, first of all, I'm very honored to be here. I
honored to have you.
Recently embarked on something. I wanted to preserve some information concerning both myself as well as the city. And so what I did, I wrote a book concerning my life. And actually, I talk about quite a few things in the book, but one of my main emphasis for writing that book was to try to enlighten some of our young people as to what's really happening out there in the world. Even though I'm not saying that you're stupid or you're dumb or that you don't know, but I'm hoping and I'm really of the mindset that you could benefit from the past experiences that I had. I was the type of young person that came up. I was raised inside the institutions, back and forth in and out of jail all my life when I was young.
Okay, and, so let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
When was it when you first experienced going to jail and things
well,
of that nature?
The first time I ever got arrested, actually what happened was I was in the store with my mother. I was about 8 years old. We was at Miracles.
8 years old?
Yeah, right. We was at Miracles on 35th and Prospect. And my mother was shopping, and so I had a raincoat on, so I stuck some Crayolas in my coat. And so, unbeknownst to me, they had those two-way mirrors. I didn't know that was my first lesson about that type of stuff. And so, when I was walking to put in some bottles inside the terminals back in the back, they snatched me up. And so that was the first time I got arrested. I was 8 years old. But I've been doing little things, man, all my life, man, you know.
8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. So that's the first time you encountered, you know what I'm saying, going to jail. So with that being said, you know what I'm saying, the book, you know what I'm saying, is called Pistol. The book is out. Where can they find the book at?
Well, my book is on Amazon, and you know, of course, I'm selling it to myself, you know, but if a person wanted to purchase the book, it's on Amazon. And the reason I chose to talk about the pistol, because that was an integral part of my life coming up. I mean, all I did was, you know, carry them guns, shooting them pistols, and so like I also wanted to emphasize the fact that we were here illegally. We were bought here and placed in America, snatched up from our home country, snatched away, erased all the information that was in our minds and in our brains at that particular time, back in the day. And we were fed nothing but what this European society wanted us to learn. As a matter of fact, for years, they wouldn't even allow us to educate ourselves. And so those are the type of things that I want to point out, is that the mindset that we ended up with, that wasn't necessarily the mindset that we decided to have, but it was what was left and what was given to us. And so, you know,
that's the interesting point. And,
right.
And then you said that they wouldn't even let y'all learn in these days. So what time is this? Like, what year is this when you say they wouldn't let y'all learn?
Well, I was born in 1950, and I started going to school, you know, in about 1955. And so at the time, school never interested me because like I was constantly hearing about the Europeans, how great the Europeans were. And
in school, they were still doing in school. That's what they was.
Christopher Columbus all the way, you know. And so it was things like that. Never. When they talked about African Americans, they always presented us like they did on TV in them Tarzan movies, you know, with the little skirts and we hollering and, you know, maybe chunking a spear or something like that. But they never talked about the significant things that we did in the world, in society. They never talked about us building up Egypt and all the things that we did across the globe. Matter of fact, they never even mentioned any of these things when it came to us. So anything that was relevant to black people, they didn't discuss it with us growing up. It was a total white world. Now, I'm not racist in that particular sense, like that I'm so hardcore that I hate white people and all
right.
You know, I'm not going there with it. But what I'm saying is that
it's facts. It's facts.
It's right. And so that's what made me didn't want to even have nothing to do with school. See, because one of the things I really realized as I was growing up, the way the Europeans had it set up initially was that what we were supposed to do, we were supposed to grow up, go to school, go to church, pay our taxes, and that was it.
The same stuff that's going on to this day.
That was going to be our place in the world. We weren't taught to operate businesses and own businesses and to do run banks and things like that. We weren't taught those.
And that's why things are the way they is to this day. Why you think so many of our culture don't have what not the white people have as far as businesses, generations down, passing generational wealth on down, because they don't want us to teach our kind.
Right. And see, that's one of the things, and I really want the young brothers to understand. By no means, I'm not telling you don't try to get no money. I think you definitely should get some money, but you know, you have to protect yourself. That's very important. When I went to prison for the first time, I was 19 years old, and I went to prison. I talk about it in the book. I went there for murder and for shooting it out with the police. And at that particular time, guys like myself, I mean, you know, it wasn't that many of us doing that type of stuff.
Hold up. I want to just say one thing. Shoot out with the police. See, I don't know nobody that had a shootout with the police, you know, and you really don't hear that here in Kansas City about people having a shootout with the police. So y'all was different back then.
Well, let me just say this here. See, my mentality was this here. When I was young, but I was very sincere in the sense that, like, I was out there in the streets. And at this particular time, I was 17, 18, 19 years old. When I started first messing with guns real tough, I was 17 years old. And so I was 18 years old, and I got hooked up with what they call, quote unquote, the black mafia here in Kansas City, Missouri. Gene Richardson and all those individuals. Matter of fact, one of my dear associates right to this day, Benny Ford, we talk and, you know, different little things like that. But
I'm going to have to research these guys.
I was messing around with them.
For my time.
And at this particular time, it was guys like June Gant, Maurice McCullough, 12th Street guys, myself, Warren Owens.
Was they calling themselves 12th Street back then?
Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
I mean, all the way. Matter of fact, I talk about it in the book because it's the individual that went down there and got killed. His name was Donald McGee. This brother here, man, was a bad actor back in the day. But like I said, I talk about him. I talk about his death and all that.
Okay.
But the main point that I'm making, going back to the question that you asked me, see, I was of the mindset at that particular time that, like, everybody went. You know, I wasn't the type that, like, just cause you the police or just cause you a white man, I'm gonna back down from you. I wasn't like that. If I'm gonna shoot my brothers, I'm gonna shoot black people, then I'm gonna shoot you too. You come at me. So that was my mentality.
Well, did y'all hear that? Hey, we need more people like that in this world, I'm telling you. Because, man, if we have more people like that, it'll definitely be a revolution on what the fuck is going on, man.
And I'm not trying to brag about it, but in the back of the book, it has these newspaper clippings and these articles out of the Kansas City Star about the shootout that I had with the police.
The articles in the Kansas City Star?
Yeah.
He's in the papers.
Yeah.
He's legendary.
And again, I'm not so much trying to brag about that, but I think it's important that I'm real, you know. And everyone that knew me back in the day, all the brothers and things here in this city, they know me well. Now, I kept a low profile intentionally because when I came home out the feds I came home in 1988. And when I came home in 1988, I was concerned about getting money.
Okay, when you got out in 1988, how long did you serve?
Well, okay, the first time, like I said, the first time I went to the penitentiary, I did 10 calendar years in the Missouri State Penitentiary. I did that for murder and for shooting the police. I got out in 1979. And in 1979, some of my partners and I, Kasim, Nolan Garner, a few more other brothers, we got together and we started robbing banks here and around Kansas City, Missouri. All that's in
that's how show was about to. I was gonna dive into that.
Yeah, the clippings are
definitely. I definitely was gonna dive into that.
So we started robbing banks, and we ended up getting busted in 1980. Well, I had a shootout again with the police in 1980. I robbed a bank out there in Grandview, and that's the one I ended up getting a 25-year sentence for.
Shit.
But I was already out on parole on a 30-year sentence, so when they gave me the 25-year sentence, they sent me to Leavenworth. And so when I went to Leavenworth, I stayed there approximately about 7 years. But at that time, they still had parole. And so I met all kind of guys from all across the country and everything like that. And so I got out in 1987, but they sent me back to Jefferson City because I was a parole violator. So I stayed down there about 5 months, made parole. And when I made parole, I came home in 1988. And so I stayed out from 1988 to 2009. And all during that time, I was keeping a low profile, even though we was moving drugs, we was robbing banks, we was doing all that.
What made you rob banks? What made you start robbing banks?
Well, I mean, that's where the money was at. You know, that's how I looked at it back then. And see, at first, you know, like I was young. I used to mess with a guy in this city, and his name was, they called him Crazy Wolf. I talk about him in the book. But Crazy Wolf, man, this brother here was a gangster for real, man, you know, but he applied his trade solely, mostly on black people, you see what I'm saying? And so, like, my thinking was, like, man, I ain't gonna just be out here robbing brothers, man, you see what I'm saying? I'm gonna go, these white people got money in these banks, man, I'm gonna go in and take their money.
So you was thinking different.
Yeah. So that was the thing. Now, Wolf ended up getting killed, and this happened in 1968. But see, Wolf was the type of brother, man, like, you know, we robbed a guy, he was a pimp. We robbed him up on the corner of 31st and Prospect. Back then they had
the area was
it was that's
the jungle.
Yeah, that's where we all used to hang out. Matter of fact, that guy Maxwell, he talked about that. You know, Maxwell that owns the properties and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, Maxwell remembers all of that. Well, anyway, at that particular time, after we robbed the guy, he sent a message back out to, like, I know that was Wolf. He didn't know who I was because I wasn't nothing but 18 years old, man. They didn't know who I was, but he knew they were saying that was Wolf and them Bucks. And so Wolf was the type of guy, man, you know, like, we all looked up to Wolf because he would shoot that pistol. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, like, I kind of grabbed that mentality from him, even though I was already doing it, but I got real aggressive when I was with him because, man, this is what this brother was doing. But anyway, long story short, Wolf went out to the man's house. They were living out there on 39th and something. And anyway, maybe not 39th. I'm not sure, but anyway, Wolf went out there, pulled a gun, told him I'd come out, and they gunned Wolf down in the street.
Well, shit.
Well, my lesson from that, my take from that was like, man, I'm not messing with no brothers no more, man. I'm not taking nothing from
he was going over there to try to take from them.
Well, no, he was going over there, you know, like, yeah, I robbed you, so what?
Wow.
You know, Mr. Tough Guy, that type of thing, man.
Right.
Now, Wolf was tough now, you know, but I mean, that was foolish, man. I mean, you know, the man lost his life, man, you know. And so all of us, you know, we got together, man, a couple of our partners, and we was out looking for the man and all that type of stuff. But I ended up catching a robbery case in 1968, and I ended up going to the county jail. But again, I talk about all that in the book.
Okay.
I want to say this here too, and I think this is an important factor. When I went to the penitentiary when I was 19 years old, when I entered Missouri State Penitentiary, they used to call it MSP. At the time that I entered it, they tested me, and I tested on a 6th grade level.
What is that? You gotta break that down for people because some of these people don't understand penitentiary terms.
Okay, when I went to prison, they put out tests for you, and you fill the tests out. And I tested on a 6th grade level. In other words, my educational level was at a 6th grade level. But mind you, remember I told you.
How old was you at?
I was 19. But mind you, I told you I quit going to school. And so that's where I knew something was wrong. And I'm saying to myself, like, man, now I got a 30-year sentence. What am I going to do? You see what I'm saying? So I really wanted to look at myself, and I really wanted to understand what I had been through. So I started going to school. And that's when I began to educate myself.
While you was in there.
And I ended up, between all the bits that I did in Missouri State Penitentiary and in Leavenworth Federal Penitentiary, I was in Leavenworth from 1980 to 87. And man, at that time, man, Leavenworth, man, it was a hell of a place, man. I mean, dudes was getting took out left and right up there, man. I mean,
serious.
getting killed. Yeah,
it was real serious.
But now MSP was the same way, man. I mean, it was treacherous. But let me say this here: between all of those, that's where I began to educate myself.
Got you.
Because I wanted to better understand what I was presenting.
Gotcha. So I got another question to ask you because we can go all the way back then where it was lesser back then and everything was kind of more. But my question is, what is different from the culture now than what it was back when you were growing up?
I think the biggest difference now is that, see, you got a lot of young brothers, man, out here that's been getting some money. And they've been exposed to more things. They've had more opportunities, but the information is not there per se, how to protect themselves. In other words, they're not totally on point with the education part of it. Gotcha. And so what I'm saying is that's what makes a big difference. Because like you can have thousands and thousands of dollars, but if you just buying rims, buying wheels, you taking care of your gal, you doing that kind of stuff, oh, that's beautiful. But what are you doing for your babies? What are you doing for the future? What are you doing for yourself? You see, because once them white people get you down there and they get you downtown and they find out where you got to stash your money at, they gonna take that from you. You see what I'm saying? And if it's illegal, and so again, that's the main point. And most times, brothers staying up all night selling rocks and selling keys and doing things, selling weed and moving, and you over here, you over there, you all over every place, and you done hoarded up some hundreds of thousands of dollars, and now these people gonna come and take it from you, man. And not only take your money, they gonna take you.
All for nothing.
And so that's the difference. See, when we was coming up, we was trying to be millionaires. But see, some of these brothers now, man, they got it. Some of them really do. I see them riding. He said, I see them riding.
I see them riding. Do you think it's easier? Of course, because there's more resources than what it was back then. But people still face the challenges because we probably have more homeless people than we ever had before.
Right. Well, all those things, that's for sure, because they never spread the wealth. They never done that. So, that's part of the problem. But again,
was that our culture's fault though? For being uneducated? Because like you said, you said yourself that they didn't educate y'all back then.
Right.
So that mean my grandmother, because she's 80, 85, you know what I'm saying? So that mean they wasn't educated like they
couldn't pass nothing on because they didn't have it. And let me say this here. I'm not trying to knock nobody, and I'm not trying to be hardcore about the situation, but this is what I'm saying. It's got to stop. You see what I'm saying? Because unfortunately, we weren't able to pass anything along to our people. And see, we're going to constantly stay in that type of predicament. That's why we hate each other so bad. You can get into it, man, like you can skin and grin with a Caucasian all day long, but a brother step on your toe, you ready to kill him. For what?
And that is sad.
But that's the mentality.
That's sad.
That's the mentality. Just like, I want to use this take an example. Like them brothers down there, man, at that At the parade. Man, them guys got into it over looking at each other, man. And now they facing so much time. Them people gonna bury them brothers, man, more than likely. You see what I'm saying? And it really was not worth it, man.
It definitely wasn't worth it.
Yeah, it really wasn't. See, but I run into youngsters a lot of times, man, you know, and I tip light around them. You see what I'm saying? It's not that I'm afraid, but I'm afraid of getting into it with them because I know I'm gonna take it to an extreme, and I know they ready to do that too.
Well, how you think it is like our job? You know what I'm saying? We do it every day. We gotta avoid conflict at work every day. And you know where we work at? We work in the jungle for real. They around us constantly. So I mean, it's a lot.
Right. See, that's why I came back to do that, because like I wanted to, before I passed, I wanted to leave something for our people. I wanted to, and see, that was the purpose of me writing the book, was that I wanted to capture those things that happened back during those periods of time and let brothers know what happened. You see what I'm saying?
Because we don't have no history, no knowledge. You know?
And that's important, you know, because like, one of the things, and I can't emphasize this enough, I was dead serious about what I was doing, you know. I'm dead serious about it, you know. And I'm still a serious brother, but I place more emphasis now on being intelligent. You know, that's the key, you know.
And that's crazy. So, because you're saying that, but I got a good question right here. This is a good one. Why do you think there's a shortage on black community leaders these days, similar to Malcolm X and Dr. King days?
Well, see, they did all that on purpose, you know, like.
Wait a minute. What do you mean? When you say they did all that on purpose, who did all that on purpose?
The European power authorities, they did all that on purpose, you know. They particularly and especially isolated and did all that stuff on purpose, man, so that they could keep us. Now, go back to what I said earlier. Their concept of us was to, go to school, you know, rise up, pay taxes, go to church,
and get married,
and come back home. And come back home. So that's the plan they had for us. Now, in the meantime, what they was gonna do was build Crown Center. They was gonna build up, you know, Leewood.
They was gonna build up around us and leave us dumb.
Right. While they could go to the bank off of us, you know, and they'll give us a little loan, you know, put you in debt for 30 years on a house. I mean, you know, that's what they had planned for. Yeah, that's what they had planned for us. And see, what happened was, young brothers like myself at that particular time, we broke from that tradition, and we shot out there in the streets. Now, unfortunately, and this is where I'm trying to come back and trying to educate some of these younger brothers about, is that once. Don't follow what I did.
Right.
Because I was off the mark. I didn't know it, but I was really off the mark because I didn't leave you all no real blueprint to follow. You see what I'm saying? Like, okay, if you're gonna be in the game, do this here, step over here, but step on away from that.
If you're gonna rob a bank, rob it like this. No,
and that's the end of it. That's the end of it. Right. See, because what a lot of us did, unfortunately, and see, that's another thing. Again, I'm going to go back to something that you asked about earlier. See, what they did was they started an influx in our communities of drugs. And so next thing you know, all these brothers that were shining back in the 60s, they hooked on heroin, man, nodding and stuff like that. And these brothers was, I'm talking about fly, was sharp brothers, man. And this happened not only in Kansas City, but this happened in New York, this happened in Detroit, this happened in LA, this happened all over the country. And
so
what they did,
it crippled a lot of our leaders.
Of course. They put that stuff right in our neighborhoods, man. Right in our neighborhoods.
Crippled a lot of our leaders, man.
And see, now what happens, they got all this methamphetamine and, you know, different little stuff like that. What's the name of that stuff that they killing people with? Fentanyl. They putting all that in there. But what's been happening now is that it's affecting their people too.
And now it's a war on drugs.
Right.
Oh, it's a crisis.
It's a different thing now.
It's a whole crisis.
See, it's been in our neighborhood.
But you know, that just show you how that men up there work. You know, like ugly, you try to put that on us. Now this is gonna happen.
Right.
And we ain't even have to do it.
No.
Did it on their own.
What you saw.
There you go. That's crazy. So I got another question. Is there a solution to the ongoing racial division here in Kansas City?
Well, again, I think a lot depends on, your educational level. See, because like when you act intelligent, then you force other people to respect you. You see what I'm saying? But now, how can someone have respect for you? And that's what causes the racial tensions when you acting ignorant. When you walk around, your pants hanging off your butt. You talking clever. You got a pistol hanging all out the side and all. People be fearful of you.
That's how you was raised, and then that comes to with the forced conditions that you said. A lot of them was brought up like that.
Of course.
Okay.
That's why I want to come back and try to correct some of that. Right. If we can.
Yeah, we most definitely. That's definitely what we're here to do. But they can get ignorant too, and I want to say that we was at the parade.
Yeah,
I was down there.
Right,
and they was getting real ignorant.
Yeah, right.
Like real. So
they feel entitled. Get out of my way,
Like it was a mess down there, and unfortunately, them type of things happen, and we just hate that it do happen. But it was an angry nest down there. I'm going to say that I was down there.
Let me say this here too. Even though I hate to keep going back and using prison as an example, but it's a good point. When I was in Leavenworth Federal Penitentiary, you dare disrespect somebody. Gotcha. I mean, you dare. Right. Because I'm going to tell you why. You had guys from all over. They would be white, Indians, Mexicans, blacks, but everybody walked with respect in there. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like nobody, like if you brushed against somebody, you immediately said, "Excuse me." You see what I'm saying? Because there was dire consequences. Like if you bumped into somebody and didn't say nothing, the next time they see you, they come in to stick you or something or bust you in the head. Yeah. No questions. If you didn't say excuse me, yeah.
So you definitely was a respect thing going on around.
Oh, so that's why I really learned the essence of respect. You see what I'm saying? Because I wanted to come home.
He said I wanted to come home. I wasn't trying to get into no other problem.
No.
Now that just most definitely, you know what I'm saying? Because I think anybody go there, they trying to come home.
Yeah.
I would hope so.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I would hope so. Right. So did you like anything like what was the breaking point for you to where you feel like I gotta change, I gotta make a difference, I can't just be living my life, you know what I'm saying, I gotta leave something like.
Right. Well the breaking point with me was just going back, reflecting. See, when you're in a prison cell, you got plenty of time to reflect and ponder and think. Right. And so I started thinking, going back over everything that I did, whatever I thought I had accomplished, and I saw that, like, man, you mess your life around. Here you are, you in your 30s, you locked down, you got years ahead of you. And so those things made me want to do something different, and so I made up in my mind, I said, man, I'm gonna try to do something different. But what happened was, when I did come home and got a chance to start moving around on the streets and doing a lot of things, I thought I was real clever and I thought I was above board.
Gotcha.
But that failed. And so when I went back that last time.
Well, what was the last time you went back?
I went back in 2009.
I think I caught that. And just making sure.
And I was 59 years old when I went back. And like, man, that's a hell of a thing, man, to go back in the penitentiary.
And how old was you about that time? You was about what?
59.
Right, okay.
And so for me to go back in there, and I got these young guards and young people, man, telling me what to do. And then, the guys in there were so different, man. I mean, see, when I was there before, you had guys, man, that were more sophisticated. Guys was talking about getting money. Mm-hmm. Now you had a bunch of guys that was in there for maybe carrying a pistol, maybe getting arrested with 2 or 3 rocks. You see what I'm saying? I mean, no finesse, no real money, nothing. Maybe in there for a rape and stuff like that, man. Now I'm not saying all the guys were like that, but for the most part, that was what was there. Then they had a lot of guys that were rats and snitches there.
Let's point that out.
Yeah. And they walk around acting tough.
Yeah, we get that a lot nowadays. So that's now, since we on that subject, so was it a lot of that back then versus it is now?
No way. Now, what happened was, as I was growing up, if you told, then you was out. you know, the people wouldn't mess with you no more. You know, they didn't fool with. We did not fool with rats and snitches. So if a guy did something after that, if he tried to come back out on the streets and hang around, that was dead. You know?
So where did it change?
Well, it changed when they started making all them, you know, like deals. You know, like guys was out here acting bad. I would say it really began to change like in the late 70s and 80s. You know, because matter of fact, to show you what happened. I got a partner of mine, Danny Hanley. He got sent to the penitentiary on a bank robbery and a murder. Okay, a guy named Specs told on him. Okay, so Specs come to the penitentiary. And they put Specs out there on the yard with them. You see what I'm saying? Danny and them stepped to him and killed him. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So after that, and this was in the late 70s. After that, that's when they started protecting the snitches and, you know, dudes that was telling on them cases. They wouldn't send you into the joint with them, you know, no more.
That's crazy.
So it changed. Changed immensely.
Yeah, because it's definitely it got all bad nowadays. These guys,
they don't even put you in the same joint. They might send them way out to New Mexico somewhere. Shoot, you don't know where they at.
Yeah, that's different. I really don't be understanding. Okay, so last question: is there anything that you would do differently that you could turn if you could turn back the hands of time?
Well, let me put it like this here. If I could go back and redo things, one of the things I definitely would do, I would begin to educate myself at a very young age. I would put a lot of emphasis on enlightenment of your mind, thinking higher, thinking different. You see what I'm saying? And yeah, that was what I would do different. I would really try to educate myself, you know.
For y'all that just chimed in, you know what I'm saying, The Pistol. The name of the book is Pistol. The author is Mr. Kenny Rayford himself, and you can get this on Amazon. And he also have these on him for sale. I think they about what, $15 bucks. You know what I'm saying, $15. You can go and get you one of these copies, man. I definitely appreciate you coming through here, Mr. Rayford.
Well, it was my pleasure. You know, because I admire you, brother. You know, we work together. And
yes, sir.
So like, yeah, this is my pleasure.
I had to get you on here, you know what I'm saying, to kind of tell your story. I don't want to give away too much of what's in the book, so that's why we're not going into the book, but we gave you a little bit of it, and if you'd like to read more into it, you know what to do. You can find them on Amazon. The name of the book is called The Pistol by Kenneth Rayford, or holler at me and I'll make sure you get one. We'll just do it like that. And appreciate everybody for tapping in. Make sure y'all like, share, and comment. And we'll catch y'all next Monday at the same time. And like I said, it was a pleasure having you.
Yes.
Thank you for coming on here and blessing us with some of that good old knowledge. It's always good to have a history of what happened back in the days in Kansas City.
Right.
A lot of people don't really talk about what happened. We hear it from probably our grandparents or things like that, but we don't hear it from a lot of other people of that nature, because you from a different area. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so for sure. You know, for sure.
Different area. You done seen a lot of things.
Oh yeah. So been there, done it.
Exactly. So all right, man. I wish you much success on your book. Hopefully you come with another one, and hopefully there's a movie with it behind it. You know what I'm saying? Just as long as the blessings keep flowing, you know what I'm saying, and the Lord allow it, it'll happen.
I want to say this here. We're working on now. My son, they secured a place, but we want to do a documentary, and I think we're gonna try to do that sometime in June. So you know, people, if you interested, keep.
So that's what we can look forward to.
Yeah, right.
Definitely. Is there anything that you want to tell them, or anything they can find you anywhere? Like you want them to have your Instagram account by chance, you know, or?
Well, my son and I, we getting ready to set up an account. See, I'm not tech savvy.
I know you now. I already know.
Right.
Yeah.
You're right.
I'm already doing.
Yeah. Guy sent me a phone number to this. Text me a phone number in the phone. I'm trying to find it, and I had to call him back and say, "Man, what was the?" He said, "Man, it's on a V card." So I had to go back in there and pull that out. So I'm lost when it comes to a lot of that.
Right. All right. I got you. Say less. Say less. All right. We out of here, man. We catch y'all next week, man. Leffy T-Bone, aka Drippy Jackson. We out.